Hey there folks, and welcome to the Jeskai Control Deck. If you want to see how the deck does, gameplay is linked down in the description. Deck's coming right up, but first, if you're new around here, feel free to subscribe. We do a new deck every single week. Alright, let's get to it. Now before I get into it, I want to point out that I did try to make the Fever Visions Throne deck that we got based on the autocomplete. No, it just wouldn't go. This was one of the earlier versions, just running Thopters and all kind of stuff, Annoyed Procession, some fun things. I went through so many versions that this deck just, no. There's been a lot more versions. The next one was a copy over. And I just eventually just modified it to Jeskai Control because I had so many versions, not a single one did well. So with that, let's get into the proper deck that's we're doing today. Starting with 2 Fiery Impulse. Red mana deals 2 damage to target creature, and with Spell Mastery deals 3 damage. Early interaction deals with pesky little things that don't matter, keeps your mana up, that kind of thing. And then 2 copies of Blessed Alliance for 1 and a white. An instant with Escalate for 2 mana, and we can choose 1 or more. Target player gains 4 life, us. Untap up to 2 target creatures, us, because we do get them. And target opponent sacrifices an attacking creature, so that can deal with really annoying stuff and manlands, which is where we want to go. But I mean, we got this for some manlands as well, so that's something. We're running 3 copies of Censor for a colorless and a blue instant, and counter target spell unless its controller pays 1, and it has a cycling for a blue so that we can run into better cards later in the game. 1 copy of Essence Scatter. I found that I'm not always against creature decks, so just having the 1 is perfectly fine for, well, every deck's got a creature, I swear. Every deck's got one. They don't want to admit it, but everyone's got 1. And so we got 1 for that deck that's got 1. So for 2 mana, instant counter target creature spell. Right. 2 copies of Harness Lightning for red and colorless. Instant, choose target creature. We get 3 energy, and then we get to deal damage based on how much energy we want to spend to a creature. So, this deck produces energy. I had a Harness Lightning take out a Metal Aware Colossus. It's a thing. So, it's possible. It gets rid of early removal, too, which I hear is pretty good. So, yeah, there's that. And then we've got 2 copies of Declaration of Stone for 1 and a white sorcery. Exile target creature and all creatures with the same name. If it's a token, then they don't get a clue. If it is a normal creature, they get a clue for each one. Then we got the 2 copies of Drakehaven. And it works in this deck just fine. So for blue and 2 colorless enchantment, whenever you cycle or discard a card, you can pay 1 and put a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying into play. So with all these cyclers like Censor, we can throw that out there, and like it's just one of those things you incidentally put down. Don't necessarily need to try to put it down. It's just one of those things. Also, yeah, I was going to say. I linked in the other video, I said, why is my rank so low? It's because of the other deck. I really tried that hard to get it to work, and nope. It just, any deck with any meaningful game, it just rolls over to. So, that's the thing. Okay, so, Scatter the Winds, next card. 2 blue and a colorless instant. Counter target spell. It also has Awaken 3, which we will probably never, ever, ever cast because it's a trap. For 2 blue and 4, we can put 3 +1/+1 counters on a land and turn it into an 0/0 with haste. That's still a land. I think is everything that animates a land say it's still a land? Somebody tell me, are there cards that don't do that? Let me know. Next up, Radiant Flames. 2 colorless and a red, with it's 1 of each color. Let's just face it. Sorcery, Converge. Radiant Flames deals X damage to each creature, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast Radiant Flames. We're 3-color Jeskai, so it can do 3 fairly easily. That's just something to point out. Next up, Curator of Mysteries for 2 blue and 2 colorless is a 4/4 Flying Sphinx. And whenever you cycle or discard another card, scry 1. Also, it can cycle 4 blue. So we can get some scries. It's just incidental stuff. If we need more powerful cards, then we'll cycle it away. If we're sitting with a bunch of cyclers in hand, might as well put it down and we can scry into the good stuff. It depends on how our game is, how much pressure is on us, and all that. If we're up against the wall, we might just cycle it and just, keep going. Next up, Cast Out for 3 colorless and white enchantment with Flash. And when it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Cast Out leaves the battlefield. And it also has a cycling of white. So that's 3 copies of that. Plenty of cyclers in this deck. We've got 3 copies of Glimmer of Genius for 3 colorless and a blue. Instant, scry 2, draw 2, and you get 2 energy. So that helps with the energy plan. So you can see it's energy and cycling and counter spells, basically. And then we're on to Hieroglyphic Illumination. So 3 colorless and a blue. Instant, draw 2 cards, and it has cycling for a blue. So depending on where our game sits us, we have those options. Plenty of card draw in these cards, and the cycling combined, we can usually get to where we need to be. Then we have Disciple of the Ring, 3 colorless, 2 blue. Creature 3/4, and for 1 mana, you can, and the cost of exiling a instant or sorcery card from the graveyard, we can either counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. Give it +1/+1 till end of turn, pump it up. This is usually on lethal turns. Then we'll just dump everything into it and send it for lethal. And we can also tap target creature, or we can untap target creature. So it plays some serious tricks in that regards, however we want to go about it. It's there. It's available. It's a great finisher. And then we have 1 copy of Tragic Arrogance. This is for decks that go Super Friends. Super Friends, let's face it. It's for Super Friends. So, for 2 white and 3 colorless sorcery, for each player you choose from among the permanents that player controls an artifact, creature, enchantment, and planeswalker. Then each player sacrifices all other non-land permanents he or she controls. So we give them 1 of each type. Super Friends has a billion planeswalkers out. Of course, if they haven't won by a billion planeswalkers, then I don't know what's going on. But if we get Tragic Arrogance, they will be very sad for losing 999,999,999. You get the point. But they get to keep that 1. Anyways, moving on. Torrential Gearhulk for 6 mana, 5/6 artifact creature with Flash. And when it enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If you do that, it gets exiled. The instant. So with that, we can get some card draw going and really keep us going. Or maybe we just want to, I don't know, harness lightning. It could happen. Never know where we are. We might be up against the wall, and that's our choice. But hey, whatever. And then we got 2 copies of Commit to Memory. So Commit side, 4 mana in blue. Instant. Put target spell or non-land permanent into its owner's library, second from the top. So we just kind of stick it back. Don't really class this as a bounce spell. It does technically remove the card. It is a 1-for-1 scenario. So don't really look at that. It's just the threat's coming. So you're just postponing the threat. But still, nonetheless, it does drop card for card. And then Memory side, 4 and 2 blue sorcery with Aftermath. Well, it is the Aftermath. And each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library and draws 7 cards. So we don't like where we're sitting and things are getting a little grim, then we can hit Memory and get right back into it. Fun fact, Torrential Gearhulk can cast the Memory side if it's in the graveyard. So at flash speed, you can Memory at the end of their turn, and then you have all your untapped mana to play with a full hand. So that's something to keep in mind. For the lands, we have 3 plains, 6 islands, 2 mountains, 2 prairie stream, 1 Westvale Abbey, 2 Clifftop Retreat, 2 Sulphur Falls, 1 Gyro Reach Sanitarium. This is in here entirely for getting Drakehaven online. Yes, our opponent's going to get cards as well for the loot, since everyone gets the loot. But we also get Drakes out of the situation, and if we also have the Sphinx out, then we can get some good scries out of it as well, and probably set up a more favorable hand. They're getting a card, we're getting a more controlled situation for it. So we set it up for an advantageous scenario. We don't use it just straight up, unless we're flooding that badly. And then we have 3 Aether Hub to use with all our crazy amounts of energy, and 3 Evolving Wilds because I didn't want to have all my Evolving Wilds haunting me forever and ever after I cast the Memory side and I can't fetch anything with them. So it's just under control. The blue mana is where it was important, absolutely important that we get something. So the blue mana is very good. We're healthy for blue mana, no problems. So that's the deck. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys want to play it. Anyways, again, you want to see how the deck does and want to see for yourself kind of how it feels, then go check out the gameplay down in the description. Alright, I'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.